Shalom, sis.
But Sister Cece and her husband is going to be joining us as well, so that'll be nice to have the brothers chat away. All right, so we're going on. We're going to go on. Our topic is going to be about jealousy. We will pray before we get started, and let me go ahead and go on live. Y'all ready?
Yes.
Alrighty. All righty, we are live. All praises to the Most High. We are back again. Welcome, everyone, to our podcast, Let's Talk. We are here today with a very special guest, Dennis Delamar, filmmaker, movie producer of many WokePics original documentary movies. The one being um, identity theft. Identity theft, which we have been talking about for about 2 weeks now, maybe a couple of weeks now. So I got a little bit of feedback coming out here. Let me just get out of this.
Hey, what's the meeting ID? I'm on my phone. I'm trying to go computer.
Oh, the meeting ID. Sister Shonda, do you want to go ahead and text it to her? Okay, so
Hold on.
okay, so so many WokePics original documentaries, the one being identity theft, which we have been talking about for at least 2 weeks now or more, at least 2 weeks or more. Our topic tonight, what we're going to be talking about is jealousy. We're going to be talking about jealousy. It is something that is, not very often talked about. Really don't hear much people talking about it, but we're going to talk about it tonight. That is going to be the topic of our discussion. But before we do that, we want to make sure that we remind everyone to register, to join our watch party for identity theft that will be airing on December the 24th.
The Zoom ID?
That will be airing December the 24th, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Be mindful of the time in your area. We're going to have some fun. We'll have some giveaways. And so
I think this is it.
can you go on mute? Okay, we'll have some giveaways and Yeah, we'll have some fun. So you don't want to miss out. I don't know if the registration is full by now, um, but it's not going to hurt to try. So go ahead and try and register, and I'll make sure that you have all the links that you need. You will have the our link tree will be placed at the um, in the description box after this video. I will make sure it's there. So everything is included in our link tree. If you look at our previous video, we went through the link tree. And so even the link to the watch party and Dennis Delmar's um, Zoom room. Okay, so we're going to pray before we get started. Father, we just thank you. We praise you. We worship you. You and only you. Let all the heavenly hosts know that it is you alone, Father, you who created us, you who created all things, you who is self eternal, you who the angels take great delight in obeying your will and your every command, you, Heavenly Father, who have all things in your hand. You own all things. We are your sons and your daughters made in your image. Father, we ask that you just let the words of our mouth and the meditation of our heart be acceptable to you. Father, we just ask that you just join us right now, be in our presence, and speak through us, Heavenly Father. Let our flesh be decreased and you be increased in us, Heavenly Father. Open up the ears and hearts and minds of man and give us a heart of acceptance and a heart of understanding, a mind of understanding, Heavenly Father. Let us bring forth your truth and let you alone be glorified, Heavenly Father. Let our intentions be pure, not to be seen or heard of man, but Father, to truly awaken the minds of the people, your people, everywhere where we are scattered, Father. We thank you, we praise you, we worship you, Father. Let it be so. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Okay, so jealousy again is the topic of our discussion tonight. It's a dangerous root of all evil. Yikes. What is it? Jealousy, resentment, bitterness, hostility towards someone because they may have something that you don't have. So this is a definite subject to talk about. There are three levels of jealousy. There's what the world calls rational jealousy. Um, what is that? Fear of losing a loved one, a spouse, or, fear of your relationship falling apart. Then you have the family jealousy. Um, what is that? Family jealousy. That typically occurs in families between family members and siblings, kind of like in the book of Genesis. Genesis 37 and 4, when Joseph's brothers saw that Jacob loved Joseph more than them. They wanted to knock him off, you know, but they sold him, and so that's what jealousy can do. Um, Parents can cause it amongst the children. We just have to be mindful of that in our upbringing of our children. When we tend to give one attention more than the other or one more than the other, how do we even balance that? So, and then the third level of jealousy is pathological jealousy. This type of jealousy is very demonic. It's irrational. It is, I want to say, exorcism level. The exorcism level of jealousy. Um, when you are jealous, it's so very dangerous. I mean, you get this crime, violence, competition. Competition begets jealousy. Somebody's doing a little bit more than you might get a little jealous. James 3:14 says, "But if you have bitter envying and strife in your hearts, glory not and lie not against the truth." So, what do we do about jealousy? We have to do something about it. Let's talk about it. Let's start with Brother Dennis Delamar. Welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Shalom, shalom. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, indeed. I appreciate you having me on Talk Time. Hallelujah. Praise Yahuwah. Yeah, definitely jealousy is a big thing. Um, yeah, my wife just gave me a scripture. That was all the James 3:15. That what you read. Yeah, so it's funny because with the identity theft movie, it's like it's tackling one of the things that was very like powerful was Yahuwah really revealing the heart of the devil. And I say it's powerful because like he has so many lies and so many webs of things that it's hard to really figure out like where is this guy coming from. And only the spirit of truth can show you like what's actually in his heart. And so that was the original thing. It started the jealousy. I think the jealousy comes from based off of lust of the eyes, lust of the flesh, covetousness, right?
Yes.
And then that's why the commandment, thou shalt not cover anything of their neighbor. You know what I'm saying? And so when people covet, that's that lust leads to that jealousy. So so I think with understanding how that works, and then also understanding as far as the people of Yashrael, like how we're made, but we are beautifully and wonderfully made. As a matter of fact, the song should say, Daoud says, "For all my days are written in your book." So because all our days is written in his book, in Yahuwah's book, that would mean that Yahuwah already has a plan. And if he has a plan and I desire what he has for me, then I mean I'm not gonna get jealous of what somebody else got. You know what I'm saying? Because what he gonna give me according to what's in my book, you know what I'm saying? That's nothing more, nothing less. Like that what's on that. So I think people gotta really be built up in Hamashiach to really see like the desire of Yahuwah. You know what I'm saying? What is his desire for you? And you don't look at other people and compare yourself with other people or say, well, they did that or they, you know what I'm saying? Because all that is deception, because they could be looking like they doing a whole bunch of stuff or they doing this and that. And it totally be false. So I would say, I think it's Psalms 139, I want to say. But it talks about all our days written in his book. So I would say that we need to know the will of Yahuwah. You know what I mean? To keep ourselves from coveting anything of this world. You know.
I agree. What are your thoughts, brother Pruitt?
Hello, everybody. We were talking about that today, jealousy, just the other day, talking about jealousy. Now, I thought about the 10th commandment, Exodus 20, verse 17, say, you shall not covet thy neighbor's house, thy neighbor's wife, thy neighbor's manservant, his maidservant, his ox, nor his ass, or anything that is thy neighbor's. Thought about jealousy is you're coveting something that somebody else has, whether it's a talent or a business or a car or whatever. That spirit of jealousy is breaking the 10th commandment of not coveting. It's so you can't covet without being jealous of what they have. So I think Yah knew that. He knew jealousy was going to be big in us. And also, because you know about the curse, how we're going to have an evil eye toward our brothers and sisters. And we have to really fight that, I think. Now, when I see a brother or sister walking down the street I pray for them because I know we have a tendency to have the evil eye and jealous. Or you see somebody doing something, I want that what they have. Instead of saying you want your own, you want what they have. You want their whatever it could be, that their soda, whatever it is. Or you drink soda, you want their stuff. But I think it's why y'all say, he told us not to covet. So we really should have to be mindful that our flesh always wants that forbidden fruit, that one thing that talk about Genesis, that one thing that Yah says don't have. We want it, and we're gonna be jealous somebody else gets it because they got blessed and we didn't get blessed and all that. So I think it's something we have to always fight about. Fighting ourselves to defeat, I should say.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Sister Cece, what are your thoughts?
Well, I think that jealousy is definitely something that we should be concerned with. And what I did was I looked up the synonyms to jealousy or similar words. We've got envy, hatred, resentment, enviousness, malice, covetousness, animosity, invidiousness. What is that? Invidiousness. Okay, invidiousness. Don't know what that is. I'm gonna look it up. Enmity, spiteful, green-eyed monster, maliciousness, and ill will. So all of those things are encamped around that word jealousy. Now we know that we do have an evil eye towards our brothers and sisters naturally. It's just natural. But we have to also, I think, look at ourselves and say, am I trying to do things to cause others to be jealous of me? That's another way we need to look at things because it's just there. You'll have people being jealous, like my husband said, because you have a soda, or because you got some glasses, or because your smile is nice, or because you light up a room. There will be people jealous of things that you wouldn't think that they would be jealous of. And so it's something that we've got to always check within ourselves. And my question is are we really honest? Are we really honest about being jealous? And if we're honest about being jealous, we are looking for solutions from Yah. We can truly take that thing to Yah and say, you know what, Yah, you see my heart, you know my heart, and that's scary. You know my heart, and you know how I feel toward this thing, and if you are jealous, I think the scripture that would be fitting for that is help me with my unbelief, So if you're looking for Yah to help you in that jealousy, what is it that you are not believing him for your own life, that you would actually be jealous of your brother or sister?
Right. Exactly. Sister Kalea, share your thoughts.
Shalom, guys. Shalom, family. This is a very much needed topic, first of all, because like you said, sister, here, it's so taboo that we do not discuss this. And as I'm, hearing the wisdom that's coming from both of the brothers, and the sisters, what really stood out to me is I have a scripture that I always go by that helped me with, I would even, just like Sister Cece said, are we really being honest and real about ourselves or within ourselves? And that does take self-examination. Even sharing my story where I coming into the journey firsthand, I would say, man, why I can't get this? Why that sister look like that? Oh man, even for my husband, I used to tell my husband, how can I know those precepts like that? Man, I want those precepts. So I would definitely say 2 Corinthians 10, verse 12. And if you don't mind, can I read it or?
Yes.
Okay. One moment, let me get that for you. So 2 Corinthians 10, verse 12 reads, for we dare not make ourselves of the number or compare ourselves with some that commend themselves, but they measuring themselves by themselves are comparing themselves among themselves are not wise. So he telling us there, even go down, just this one last verse on the verse 13 here, but we will not boast of things without our measure, but according to the measure of the rule which God had distributed to us, a measure to reach even unto you. So we have to make sure that what we doing or what we have to be content just with that. If the Father wants us to have it, he's going to give it to us. But we also have to make sure that spirit of jealousy does not overcome our spirit to where it serves as a distraction, because that will literally have a stronghold or a stumbling block so that we cannot even be fruitful among the nation and even put work towards the ministry. So that's my thought on that.
Completely agreed. Sister Rayak, what are your thoughts?
Shalom.
Shalom.
I just I like what I heard so far. I completely agree. Sister Cece and I, sometimes I think we're soul sisters. I'd be thinking the same exact thing. And that's exactly what I was thinking. Were kind of about the synonyms to jealousy in the first place. One of them is animosity. And one of the things that I think that we have to think about, like the sister was saying, is where this comes from. Where does animosity come from in the first place? A lot of times those feelings of resentment and anger and frustration that people have are coming from you. And you're blaming, and we can say, and this is something that is really weighing heavy on me right now. Baby, do you mind, Abigail? Abigail, sorry.
No worries.
I'm so sorry.
worries.
Anyhow, a lot of times it comes from us, and then a lot of times we pretend like we don't know why the other person is jealous, and it's our malice. We blame them and we say they're the malicious ones. But the truth of the matter is, a lot of times our people are making people jealous of them intentionally, making people to have malice and animosity towards you, and on purpose, because you feel like you have the upper hand, or you want to be seen on a pedestal or something. So you automatically need people, haters, the so-called haters, the ones that you create. So that's how I feel about it. The scripture that I was thinking about to go along with it was Psalms 19:13. It talks about presumptuous sin. And so in Psalms 19:13, it says, keep back thy servant also from presumptuous sin. Let them not have dominion over me. Then shall I be upright, and I shall be innocent from the great transgression. So the word's a two-edged sword. We should think of it that way, I think. And I think that we should always think of what we're doing, because a lot of times, on the other hand, the presumption of us, of what we believe is owed to us. Israel is a royal people, royal to a fault. I tell a story all the time about a homeless lady who wouldn't take a sandwich I made because it didn't have mayo. So, I mean, we presume that we are deserving of more. And even, and that goes both ways, on the side of the person who everyone's jealous of, or who's being, who you're being made to be jealous of. I like the analogy you brought up today about Joseph, because I think that that's a very important place to start. His brothers were kind of made to be jealous of him. The animosity was caused, it didn't have to be, but the animosity was kind of caused there in a place where a little bit of humility would have went a long way. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. Sister Shonda, what do you think?
Shalom, everyone. Shalom, everyone. Man, all these were some powerful statements, and they're very truth and need to be talked about. Like Sister Kalea said, it's like taboo that we talk about this thing. But it really goes back to Genesis between Cain and Abel. Cain
Mm-hmm.
was jealous of Abel, you know, and he was so jealous, he murdered his own brother because of it. So if you can have that type of spirit where the enemy can take a hold of you by being jealous to make you murder your own brother, then that's pretty powerful. Jealousy is very powerful. And everyone who has spoken about it is absolutely right. We have to get a hold of ourselves because there are people out there that want to make you jealous. I'm better than you. Well, you know, this is not up to my standards because mine is better. You know, any of that. And we have to stop that
Mm-hmm.
because we'll never get anywhere. That's, to me, is the crab in the bucket mentality to the 10th power, you know, and we've got to stop it. And that is jealousy. And jealousy comes from where? Pride. Pride. Who got kicked out of heaven, out of the heavenly realm because of pride? Okay. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why it's really, really time for us to talk about it and be careful that we're not doing it.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Sister Casey Shofa, yeah. And feel free to share your scriptures and things in the YouTube chat, and you know, you can communicate in the chat as well. The panel. She said that well, actually, Sister Kathy White said jealousy is cruel, but who can stand before envy? Who can stand before envy? And Sister Casey Shofaya, she said it could be a bitter root that stems from childhood trauma or rejection. Yeah, that's absolutely right. You know, unfortunately, I don't know. I haven't met a family without that some form of jealousy in it. I had, and I'm gonna share this testimony. I allege that it is safe to share it, um, because we can overcome. We can overcome jealousy, and we don't have to. It's it's a work. It's a work, but we have to talk about it. Satan can only hide things as long as you don't, if you know, help him keep it hidden. And how do you keep it hidden? By not bringing it out, by not talking about it. So I had my sister who is resting, okay? Um she coming up, she did not like me. It was just a bitter, just I did not know why she didn't like me. And it was no matter what I did everything to be her friend, and it was no matter what, it just didn't work. So fast forward to our adulthood now. um my sisters, we would get on the phone, we would, you know, do little, you know, silly things and prank calls. Even at our old age, we would be, you know, we would call people and, hey, is your refrigerator open? You better go catch it, you know, stuff like that. And stuff like that. So you know we old when old people come up with the old jokes, right? And so, you know, we had been apart for a while, and then we got together and we started doing stuff like that just to, you know, have fun and, you know, laugh and talk on the phone. And we were just starting to build our relationship. And my sister said to me, hey, my older sister, you never really, we need to do this more often. And I'm like, yeah, I agree. So that was that conversation. The following day, she called and she was going to tell me something silly, because sometimes we'll do that. We'll call each other and tell each other something silly. And but I'm always hard to get in contact with. They'll tell you I'm always busy, but they know. So she left a voice message. She was like, "Hey, Karen, I got something to tell you." And I was like, I'm gonna call her back. I'm gonna call her back. I'm gonna call her back. And I didn't. Now, then the next call I got was, "Hey, your sister is in a hospital and in intensive care, and you better get over there." So I get there. Now, this is a sister that has, you know, she has done a lot of things to me. Physically, I even have like a, mark from a stab wound. So it was a deep thing. And Satan is, uh he's a beast, and he uses his best weapon, and this right here, jealousy, is one of them. um hey, sis, Papa Israel, welcome. um and so she was in the hospital. I get there, she's swollen. She's all this stuff is, she's hooked up, she's got a tube down her throat, and the doctor says to me, "It's a good chance she's not walking out of here alive." And I said, "The devil is a liar. She's got something to tell me." So she's walking out of here. And it didn't look good. She was in a deep coma, and she was in that coma for some time. And this was before I came into the awakening. And I just felt led to pray for her and put my hands on her. And, um, you know, while praying, eventually she did come out of that coma. So the doctor goes, "Well, she there's a good chance she's not even going to remember who you are." I said, "Well, the devil is a liar, because she has something to tell me." And I mean, when I prayed, I asked the Most High, give her back. Just, you know, give her a chance. Give her a chance, and send her back. Um, and I believed in the Most High. I trusted in, the Most High, and I still do. And and so she ended up coming out of she came out of the coma. She started to talk. She ended up going to therapy. She remembered who I was. She remembered who, her sisters were, all of us. And um and she said, um her speech was very, very kind of slow, because when you're out that long, you lose a lot. So fast forward, one day, she said, "I'm going to come and visit you." And she gets here to Rhode Island, and she said, um, "Pick me up from the bus station." "Pick you up?" I said to my husband, "We got to get to the bus station like 5 minutes ago." So we get there, and when I saw her, it was just like, she looked very young. Um, it was like the Most High just turned back all of the hands of time, like all the distress, all of the everything, even her face. She was absolutely beautiful. That I mean, I had to touch her face. I was just like touching her, and she laughed and she said, my younger sister, she said, our younger sister did the same thing. She's like, "But it's me." And I hugged her and I cried. And it's like, all that time spent being jealous throughout childhood, all the way up to our adult years, taking it to, her being in a coma, to coming out of the coma. You know what she said to me? She said, "I was jealous of you. And I am so sorry of everything that I've ever done to you in our whole life." I broke down crying. She went around apologizing to a lot of people, a lot of people. The Most High gave her that. And then she died. She was able to come back and correct it, but then she died. We do not have to allow Satan to do this to us. We don't have to do that.
Hallelujah.
Anyone can chime in.
Yeah. All praises. I just want to say hallelujah. That's a wonderful, wonderful testimony. All praises to the
Yes.
Most High. She overcame that spirit, before she had to go, and that's a wonderful blessing.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree. I know that story, and so I was like kind of bracing myself because, Mr. Karen, for you to actually live through that was a miracle within itself. I mean, I didn't know the part about you being stabbed in the back, but we know that the jealousy is a spirit. It's a wicked spirit.
Wicked.
And, we like to play with demonic spirits because we bounce back and forth between understanding that it's demonic and then also looking at the person, therefore giving the demon some sort of foothold and being nice to it instead of casting it out and calling it what it is. We get afraid, or we don't feel powerful enough, but we have to do that. Like Sister Karen said, I don't know a family where that's not in effect. You've got mothers and daughters, you've got fathers and sons, sisters, for whatever reason, they're carrying around a burden of jealousy. And sometimes they really don't even know why themselves. That's why when you see it, you have to cast it out. That jealousy thing kills people. There are people that have been in strange relationships where they've been killed over jealousy. And you have to be mindful of that within yourself. Like I keep saying, we tend to brush things under the rug. And we were talking the other day about jealousy. And, people will say, you'll present something. And some of us are scared to present something because somebody's going to be jealous, but you'll present something and somebody will say, oh, girl, I'm jealous, or, whatever. And most folks nowadays, they'll tell you when you hear somebody say that, you better get away from them because it sounds like a joke, but it's real. They said it, they spoke it out of their mouth. Life and death is in the power of your tongue. We don't understand how powerful
they gave life
words
to it.
are. It is amplified times 10 once you get it out of your mouth, basically. So you have to be mindful of that. So we have to do a better job of checking the jealousy within ourselves. We have to do a better job of checking ourselves when we are trying to provoke others to be jealous. What is in you that wants somebody to be jealous? Like was said before, you could create some haters. We are not living in that world. We are in this world, but not of it. So you don't need to create no haters. Satan hates you enough, so you don't need to do that with other people. And what I wanted to talk about,
everybody already hates you.
I wanted to talk about the scripture. Did I lose it? There's a scripture, of course, it is Exodus 34:14, where it says, for thou shalt worship no other God, for the Lord whose name is jealous, for the Lord whose name is jealous is a jealous God. So Yah is the only one that can be jealous because he created us. And if we're given something else the praise, given something else the attention, because he created it all, he's the only one that can be jealous. We didn't create nothing without him. So who are we to be jealous of anything? So anytime we find ourselves jealous, we have got to go back and repent because that's a commandment. He says he's a jealous one. So that, and we can see it all throughout the Bible with Esau and Jacob and just all kind of folks were jealous. So we have an example to live by.
Yeah. And here's where Brother Dennis's movie comes in because jealousy, one of the root causes of jealousy is low self-esteem and a poor self-image. If you don't know who you are, what is going to happen to your brain? I think when you put the God of creation and his son to be, and the angels and everything to be that not look like you, that can do something. That does something to a person's mind. It does something to your brain. And since our ancestors left the shore of Africa, I know even before time, but being here just it spread out, just amplified it. It just, put wood in the fire because what did they do to us? They took away our Messiah. They blinded us. They took away our pride. All these things are the root of jealousy. They broke our men down. They broke our families down. They broke us down. They took our very rich history and inventions and everything. And, you know, I want to say also knowledge. They stole that as well. Everything that we had being stripped down. And then they had other people, they had convinced other people to point and laugh. Ah, look at them, everywhere where we are. Look at them. Ah, they don't have a culture, they don't have a language. Ah, but then you see all these people around you, and it's like, oh wow, oh, you're having the quinceañero. Oh wow, well that's nice. Oh, you're having your I don't know, this or that or whatever these other nations, they always have something, and it's like us, what we have is what? What? We have it. We just don't know what it is. But when your God, when your Messiah is, Sister Kathy, where can I sign up for the watch party? Sister Shonda, do you want to respond to her in the chat?
Sure.
Sister
Sure, I will.
Sister Shonda will put it in the chat. Um, yeah, it starts from that because your Savior is huge. Brother Dalma, do you want to chime in on that?
Oh, for sure. Hallelujah. Um, yeah, it's one of the things that stories that I love to just been thinking about recently is about Kepha, Peter, when Yahushua was on the water, and he takes his eyes off of him for just 1 second to look at everything around him, and then he starts to sink. And I believe that's indicative of like what has happened to Israel, what has happened to us as a culture, what has happened to people, why they get jealous, uh, is because they take their eyes off Yahushua.
Mm-hmm.
Think about it. Uh, the dragon, this cherubim, was in heaven, right? Now he's a covering cherubim, and he sees Yahuwah. And I remember Yahuwah came to me. He said, "You can see me, but not see me." So you can see him, but not see him, because he is not, just like how when he came to Eliyahu in the mountain, but then the rumble happened, all this happened, but then he was in a still small voice. So the thing is that him, when he said, what did Moshe say? Moshe said that he wanted to see his esteem, and he goes by and he proclaims the name of Yahuwah. He said, Yahuwah compassionate, with his loving kindness to 1,000 generations, and gracious. So people can miss that. And I think the jealousy and all those feelings of inadequacy, it doesn't even have to come from trauma, because the devil didn't have no trauma. He made up a lie in his mind and convinced himself to these lies. So somebody, it really don't have to be that deep where somebody got all these things in the background. You know what I'm saying? They could just lie to themselves and believe it, and then start to build on that lie. So I believe that it comes back to not taking your eyes off Yahushua, but specifically to see him. And that's what I believe this documentary, Y'all Willing, does, is for you to see him, not just like, oh, this is the Messiah. Like, who is this? Who is this person? Like, who is he to Israel? Who is he to us? Because if you see him and you keep your eyes off, because that's what we've been talking about too, is, you know, Christianity has done this thing where, you know, believe, right? And they've used this word of belief, but it's almost like a mystic word, and the Hebraic sense has been lost. Because when you look at that word, what it was amen, which means to cling to. Like when that woman with the issue of blood came and she clung to the hem of his garments, that's what he's looking for us to cling. Like, it's like clinging to your foot, like, you know, hey, where you going? When, you know, they moving, you like, wherever you moving, I'm moving. You know what I'm saying? Like that roof type of belief. Like that's how we keep our eyes on them. But if you take your eyes off of them, you're gonna get jealous. You're gonna covet because you're not fulfilled. People that's jealous, they're not fulfilled.
Mm-hmm.
People that's coveting, they're not fulfilled. They don't have the fulfillment of the shimka and the joy that only Yahuwah can give. You know, they always want more and all this other stuff. It's like, you know, you got to be able to see him, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and not get well, my last thing, and I'll land. But the other thing is, especially in this life with materialism, consumerism, is sometimes life is built on things, and like, you know, people perception of things, and people equate blessings to, okay, well, I got a lot of money, I got this,
Yep.
you know, I got that, you know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Like, they equate blessings to, you know, I got paid, you know what I'm saying? Whatever material thing is, they equate that to blessing. But
Yeah.
that's where it comes to. That
Mm-hmm.
whole perception of society of like, oh, well, yeah, you don't have this or you don't have that, and you know, and you think you should have more, but that all comes back. That all goes to the lust thing. So I
Mm-hmm.
think yeah, the earthly treasures. People storing up the earthly treasures. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, and you know, we got to be willing to lose this world, lose everything for the sake of Mashiach, for Messiah. You know what I'm saying? Because whether you got a little bit, whether you got a lot, it's still the same thing. You know what I'm saying? It's
Mm-hmm.
still the same thing. You still got to trust him, and you gotta obey his word. Like, that's what it comes down to. So, you know, all that other stuff is like, you can keep it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Brother Pruitt, what are your thoughts?
I agree with what the brother was saying. You know, jealousy. We always want stuff that, you know, the world stuff. We want the world stuff. You know, we shouldn't be jealous because Scripture talks about that the Holy Spirit, he gives every man, woman the gift for the whole body. So it's silly, just like talk about I'm the eye. Why I'm be jealous of the foot? I'm the mouth. I'm jealous of the head. You know? To do my part. I shouldn't be jealous of somebody else what they're doing, their gifts and callings. All of us have gifts and callings and things like that. Each man is given a measure of faith. We all have faith and to do what we want to do, what we're supposed to do for Yah. We all have something to offer the body. You know, that's why we're lacking now as a body, because we have everybody. You know, everybody has a YouTube channel trying to teach everything. Right? We got a billion teachers in Israel. Everybody's jealous of the teaching gift. But there's helps gifts. There's people we need to direct film like the brother's doing. We have people that need to give out clothing that we can wear that's modest apparel for men and women. We need all kinds of things we need in the body. So there's no need to be jealous. I don't know. I'm not the best speaker, but I like to speak. But I'm not gonna jealous of somebody else because they do something better than me. And I'm just gonna do what I'm supposed to do. Not supposed to be jealous of somebody else's stuff. And if we just seek Yah, he'll give us what we need. So many times we're jealous, and it doesn't make any sense, but because we don't have a nation mindset, we're not nation minded at all. We don't realize that I'd be jealous of my brother, or we talked about earlier, there's couples jealous of each other. That's silly. Like, why she jealous of my wife? Like, if she goes up, I go up. I go up, she go up. We go up and down together. Why are you jealous of your spouse? Why are you jealous of my brother? No, if I see somebody else doing good, I can be jealous. I'll be like, oh man, Yeah, make my own movie now. He making that documentary, making my own movie now. That's silly.
Right.
You know, that
How
movie
come
does
I'm not
well.
in it?
Yeah, it's helping everybody. I can show it to my family. I can show it to anybody
Yeah.
I know. Might not listen to me, but they're like, man, I'm gonna watch this movie with this brother. I don't know who he is. I'll watch it. So I shouldn't be jealous. I just got to be, thankful that somebody's doing what they're supposed to do for y'all and focus on me.
Right. 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 I mean, we have to learn to build one another up. Where is that scripture, James? Oh, where is it? Oh man. Let's see, is this it? But oh no, that's not it. Or is it Ecclesiastics? Here it is. Yeah, I think it's Ecclesiastics 4:11. Correct me, please, if I'm wrong, but it says, I can't read that. Let me see here if I can. Don't slander one another. It says, don't slander one another. Don't anyone who speaks against a brother or a sister judges them, speaks against the law and judges it. When you judge the law, you are not keeping it, but sitting in judgment on it. You're sitting on it. So slandering, taking your brother down, like you see a lot of these things, like with Brother Pruitt mentioned, oh man, this brother, he's making a movie, kind of like, I want to do it. You don't know how many other brothers or sisters that are out there that are like that. And just because of that, say, well, you know what? I'm not sharing that. That's tearing your brother down. That's a form of it. You don't have to come out and do a whole 2-hour YouTube tear down, the walls of Babylon video of your brother video to do that. You can simply not support him. That's tearing him down. You can simply not support your sister. That's tearing them down. You see your sister doing something good. We all need a little bit of encouragement. We all like attaboys, like, well, great job. Do you know just by those words alone how powerful that is? That is lifting one another up. Oh, wow. Great job, sis. Great job, brother. You know, um, and don't be, you know, it's easy for us. Oh, I'm so jealous. I wish I could do that. Hey, can you show me? I'd like to do that too. Let's do it together. Let's
Need
sharpen
some
one
help?
another. Iron sharpens iron, right? And so we have to learn how to overcome this deception and this wickedness of jealousy. There's so many sneaky ways that Satan has, um, you know, s- formed jealousy. Um, you can be jealous by doing just the things that you don't mindfully, that is not in your mind to say, okay, well, you know what? You may not be mindful of. That's what I want to say. Things that you really may not be mindful of, you know. Um, I sell tea, you know. You have another sister that sell tea, and it's like, you have someone comes in with a testimony because they drink your tea, and it's like, oh, well, I make the same tea. Well, you know what? That right there, that was jealousy. You know what I mean? Instead of saying, hey, you know how did you make that? I'd like to, and share that. Don't just be like, no, that's mine. That's my recipe, and I'm not sharing it. You cannot serve the whole wide world, greedy. And so that right there is another form of jealousy, just greedy, just wanting to get all the everything, the recipes, you want the cake, the pie, the steak, collard greens, and I'm so hungry. I don't eat meat, but you know what? It's that's what it is. We have to learn how to build one another up. Another thing is we as parents. Now, the book of Genesis and the in the book of Genesis about Joseph and his brothers taught me something as a parent. You know, when you have 3 kids, more than one kid, you got to be real careful. You can't be like, "Oh, great job, Sarai. Oh, that's real good, Joseph. That was good." Well, okay, you just planted a seed. You just planted a seed. Let's talk about that.
If I may, because
Okay, a little something. Oh, go ahead, sister.
okay. Um, that is a very strong, that's very profound what you stated there. Even from just we have to renew our mind, not be so individualized, okay? If we continue to think carnal and act as such, there's the fruits are not going to be, we're not going to bear good fruit. But it has to come to a point where we have to understand, who am I? What is my purpose? Even though we may know our purpose, and some may not know their purpose outside of just saying I'm the child of the Most High, but what do the Father want you to do on this ministry? And I think that is what slips up in a lot of cracks here, to where it begins to where that spirit of jealousy and covenants come from, because they are so focused on looking at what everybody else is doing, when they really could be spending with so much time with the Most High, so that he can reveal, this is what I want you to do. Now, speaking from the children perspective, I'm a mother of 3. And I tell you, that is something that you said, you definitely have to make sure that you are not planting a seed. My oldest daughter is 14. My oldest child is 14, my only daughter. And, my husband and I waited 9 long years to have another child, praise the Most High. And he is 5, and my youngest one is 2. So I can see a difference to where I make sure I have to evenly spread myself out, because children pay attention. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
They hear, but they paying attention to what you're doing more so. But I also have to have those talks with even the boys, and say, hey, you guys are princes, mom is going to love you just equal amount, you want to make sure you just be obedient to the laws, and everything is going to work out. It's just certain things you have to instill in them now, so that they won't look into the world, oh, my mom did not give me that, or my dad did not give me that. Or even as a teenager, that's something that I'm seeing amongst, even for my 14-year-old daughter. And I tell her, hey, don't think that you're missing out on anything from the world, because the world don't owe you nothing but blood.
Mm-hmm.
You are not a piece of that puzzle. You will not fit in, and it's just, you have to go ahead and, like Sister CC said, rebuke that spirit, so that it will not grow a whole buffet and just come at you and eat at you, and tear your family structure down, tear the structure of the Most High down, to where you're thinking, oh, I don't need to be in this. This is not for me, when it's a part of you. So you do definitely, don't want to go out there and get choke hold, like the scripture say, with by Hashatan, the Satan. So that's my intake on that.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna say I enjoyed what you said, sis, too. I was gonna say that a
Yeah.
lot of this too, we have to be careful as parents, like what you sisters were saying. I agree with what you were saying in regard to planting the seed. I think that as parents, we have to realize that a lot of things are foundational. And when it comes to our children, everything is foundational, where we have to learn how to build them up. And we have to make sure that we are paying attention to what it is that we're building also. Mainly because I heard a parent say something that, I heard an adult say something that their mother used to do for them, and they really thought really highly of it. And I kind of had a different opinion. Well, the person told me that their mother, every time, when the mother had a way of building her son up. So what she would do is anytime there was someone, out there, say maybe a classmate or something that was doing really well, she would tell her son, he does that really great, but you do this. And I thought that, and he said that it was a really, really good experience, that, it made him feel really good about himself. And he always thought about, what he had to offer and things like that. And I thought that that was a very wonderful thing, but I thought that it was good that he felt that way. But however, I also wondered, as a parent, is it really necessary for you to constantly have to reassure your child that this person does this well, but you do this? Versus versus telling your child, you know what, he is really good at that. Why don't we cheer him on? Good job. Yeah, Timmy,
Yes.
go Timmy. You know what I mean? How come we can't cheer Timmy on? Why do I have to turn around and tell you, yeah, what Timmy's doing is great, but you know what you do? You do this, that, and the third. That you should already know that, because I should have been building it into you already. It should not take for Timmy to do something good for me to now have to turn around and say, you're good too. So I think that we have to be very careful. What, like you said, so many things can plant a seed, and we know that now in the truth. You know what I mean? Things that we may not have realized before. And one thing I never wanted to plant, a seed I never wanted to plant in my children, was this jealous seed. This seed where, I'm looking at Timmy and, yeah, Timmy's great and he won the race and I didn't win. And now, it's like the walls are crumbling down around me because I didn't win,
Yeah.
And it's like, no, you didn't win the race, but you ran a really great race. And, even though Timmy may not be, Timmy may be running the same race as you, but that doesn't mean that you should not cheer him on when he wins. We should be just as happy, to know that Timmy won too, So that's just my thought about that. Because a lot of my fear, a lot of what I'm beginning to suspect, like one sister took it back to the garden. What I'm beginning to suspect is that our people have this desire to be idolized, and it's like this, I want to win. I want to be idolized. Yeah, sure.
What
All
about
right.
me?
Yeah, she got them teas. All right, cool. Yeah, all right. This sister got better. Big deal. I mean, that kind of, but my teas come like this. I've got,
Right.
I've got all this confetti and, in my tea. I mean, it's just, we cannot.
Competition.
Yes. But we're
Competition.
constantly sacrificing substance.
Right.
You know what I mean? For fluff. Just because of, and the root of it is that jealousy.
And that made me think of, when our ancestors were brought here, they were made to compete against one another.
Exactly. True.
We
We gotta get
outdo
better than that.
everybody in everything. We need to realize that we are the trendsetters. We are really the power that sets the tone. And if we knew that, everywhere where we are, I mean, Europe, Asia, Africa, North America, South America, you name them, even in the remotest of places,
Right.
we are. Just know this, everybody. When you come across this video and you look like us, we're not racist,
Right.
right? But we win the races all the time. We are not racist. We are trendsetters. Where you are right now, I don't care where you are. If you look like me and you're in, China or Asia or, somewhere, Jamaica,
Right.
everywhere where we are, you are a trendsetter. You are a creator. You have gifts and talents and abilities in you. What did the lockdown do? The lockdown made us make our own lotion. Oh, that's how you make it? Oh, shoot, I don't need to buy that no more.
Right.
Make our own hand sanitizer. Hello, hire healing company. And I mean, the best that I have ever used. And soap. What? You know, it made us change our diets. It made us make our own clothes. Oh, that's how you do it? Oh, shoot. Oh, I'm not going to, you know, TJ Fracks anymore. You know what I mean? You know, all these things, you know, oh, is that how you make a basket? Oh, well, I'm not going to waste my money doing that anymore. It just, all the lights went on, but they're not all on yet. We still got some lights there. We still got some switches in there that need to be flicked on, but iron sharpens iron. We need to turn on each other's light. When you walk into a room that don't have clap on, because I haven't seen that in years, if you can't clap it on, you got to put your finger on it. You have to make a move.
Alexa is the new and improved clap phone.
Right. You have to make a move. You have to push a button. Push the buttons on your sisters and your brother. Don't push the buttons that make them angry. Push them buttons that make them say, oh, wow, I really can do this. Push those buttons of encouragement. Push those buttons of uplifting and watch and see what we can do everywhere where we are. I watched the movie Avatar, and it was a scene where the people that wanted to come in and to they were going into the land to get the raw material, the special stone. And they wanted the people who lived in this very large tree, the avatars, to move so that they can take up the tree and dig it all up and take their stuff, right? And there was a scene where they were like, well, they were doomed. And it's like, no, I want you to go tell everywhere, tell all the tribes, because there was some separation there. They were different tribes, but he was like, go tell all the tribes. We're going to need every single one of us to defeat these people who are coming in with their machines and their big robots and their guns and all their power. We're going to need all of us, and we're going to need the Most High. What happened? What happened? If you watch that movie, they came in with their guns and they're big, robots and everything, and they were killing them all. They, shooting them off their birds and things, and they were fighting back with their bows and arrows. And then what happened? The faith of the people, although a lot of them was dying, the faith of the people, their person, they, sent, I want to say, there was these big animals. They sent these big animals, and these animals were able to overtake the power that was there. I mean, they had machine guns, and these people did not have machine guns. They had bows and arrows and animals, and they were able to defeat them. But what it took was all of the tribes. Notice this part of the movie. Them animals did not come out until all the tribes was like, yes, we are going to get together. We're going to fight with one another. We're all going to come together. And they came from everywhere. They came from all four of winds. Get what I'm saying? Now, he didn't have ears. Let them hear. They came from all four winds, four corners of the earth. And they was like, okay, we got this over here. We got this. What you need? Okay, we got you over here. Well, this is what we're going to do. And boom, boom, they overcame their enemy. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Y'all don't hear me?
Because if they had to let them destroy that tree, you know what I mean? Then that's the whole nation. And so if I die, I die. But
Yeah.
but at least my children can live on and they can live to fight another day. But if
Mm-hmm.
I let somebody come and destroy the root, you know what I mean, that we're
Mm-hmm.
all based in, and that's what we have to do now. I agree, sis.
Mm-hmm.
That
Yeah. And it,
I think that we can defeat that jealousy and we can all come together.
mm-hmm.
And I think that the major way that we can defeat it is if we congratulate each other. Stop waiting
Mm-hmm.
for someone to say, yeah, I'm not waiting on anybody to say, look at what Rayak is doing. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? Because I'm
Exactly.
too busy. The law of reciprocity applies. I'm too busy saying, look at what Kalaya is doing. Look at what Karen is doing. Look at what Cece is doing. And then on
Mm-hmm.
the back end, I just have to assume you have my back. You know what I mean? Because
Right.
I ain't looking
Exactly.
back there to go look and see who's sharing my this, that, and the third. You know what I
Right.
mean? I
Exactly.
just believe you're
Exactly.
doing it. All praises to the Most High. But
Mm-hmm.
I have a focus. You know what I mean? That I have to focus on, which is helping to build my nation and helping to protect my
Right.
nation. And so just like you said, they're helping. Everybody. If that tree was gone, where they gonna stay? Everybody gone. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Welcome,
That if they
Jazola.
destroyed the jungle, you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Then they would have been destroyed. The people would have been destroyed as a whole.
Yeah. Kathy White said 12 tribes strong.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's right. Tell 12 tribes strong. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. And and it all, remember, because we can, but we must know our creator. Share this movie. Share the link. It is very important.
Definitely.
It's very important. Uh Brother Delma, I don't know, what prompted you to make this movie? What prompted you to do that? Because this is something, it's right on time, it's very timely, and we need it. We definitely do need it, and I highly encourage everybody in the chat, um, everyone on this panel, share, beat it like, um, you know, just keep pounding and sending out the links. Send out. They can't go wrong if they go on the Guys Approved Apparel link tree, because you got the link to the Zoom video, to the Zoom invite. You press that link, boom, you're gonna go right into Brother Dalma's um watch party. Well, we will be there. I mean, you if you go into your House Approved Apparel Mall, you see it all in yellow. You're gonna see, you click on this is the registration form, you click on this is the link to the watch party. You will see information about WokePics, because he has more than just identity theft. He has another, we have a film producer, y'all. Come on now. We have a film producer, and these movies are not like, when you stay up late at night and you go and watch and one of these big movie uh original pictures, and they are in the whole movie is in a closet or in a hallway. You never get out the hallway. It's like you hope they get out the hallway, but they just running up and down the hallways, the hallway movie. And they have all this drama and all this action around this hallway. Now, first it was a hallway with walls. Now it got some holes in the walls. Now it ain't got no walls. It's just, but you sat there and you watched that hallway movie for a whole hour. Y'all better share this. And y'all better be in that. I'm going to be looking. Now I'm serious. This ain't one of them hallway. He don't make those hallway movies. Go and even check out WokePics. And not only that, you don't have to worry about, the commercial where you have some shenanigans going on. I'm not going to say the shenanigans and what it is, but y'all know what I'm talking about. You watching a family movie and all of a sudden it's like, oh my goodness, I can't even skip past it. I can't skip past this commercial. where did this come from? They showing commercials that I ain't never seen when I was coming up. You know, when I was coming up, the skirts were long. Now they cut off, and now that you almost don't have a skirt anymore. You just a leaf. You're running around in leaves. So, you know, Brother Delmar, what inspired you? I know the Most High inspired you to make this, but tell us something here. You know, what really pushed the button? What pushed the go button on you?
Yeah, praise to Yahuwah, all praise to Yahuwah. Well, just well, there was an earlier point that I want to hit on. Sorry, I don't have my video, but the earlier point that I want to hit on.
We can't hear you, Brother Dalma. I'm sorry.
You can't hear me?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Let me see. I have to get my headset. I have to go to the phone. You can hear me now?
So it's very muffly.
Okay, let me.
You sound like you're being held hostage with a muffler on.
All right, I'm gonna come back in 1 second. Give me a little bit.
Okay. All right. So he's gonna fix his audio and come back. But so I really want to hear the brothers. That's another thing. We as sisters, while we're waiting for Brother Delmar to come back, we have brothers. I mean, we need to lift our brothers up, just like how they were systematically torn down. Do you realize that we, as sisters, as wives, as aunties, and grandmothers, we have great power. We have great power. We can really lift our men up and put them right out in front of us. But what is it going to take to do that? We're going to talk about that next week. We're going to talk about that next week. Lifting our brothers up. Why don't our panel come back and let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. And I encourage our brothers to join us, because what I would love to see is the brothers just come on and just talk about it. That's another thing, a hidden sneakiness of Satan. We're here to just pull the covers off. First, it's the jealousy, and then we must talk about lifting our brothers up. And I really want to sound the trumpet so ever so loudly on that, the chauffeur. Brother Dalma, you all right? So while we're waiting for Brother Dalma, so brother Pruitt.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying as far as lifting us up and things like that, because we have been torn down. Looking forward to that discussion, because we have been torn down. A lot of us do have low self-esteem. We may mask it in that hyper kind of masculine, just really not masculine ways. But yeah, that is very important for us.
Yeah, we're definitely going to come back and really pound on that one, because they have deceived the minds of the women and made it as so, okay, well, I don't need a man. What's the matter with you? In my grandmother's house, you would have had something would have been bleeding and broken if she ever heard anything. Like, you would have been, they would have been, oh, you was looking normal yesterday. Today you got crutches. What happened? So, I don't promote, but okay, great. All right. So, Brother Dunbar, what pushed the go button that made you?
Hallelujah. Oh yeah, it's actually I wanted to hit on another point before I answer your question. That's cool.
Yes.
So on the topic y'all was talking about, as far as like raising children and everything,
Yes.
One of the things that in the book of John, Yahushua, he's talking about John the Baptist, Yochanan the Mercer, and he said something very interesting. He said that that even though like Yehukanan, John is like bearing witness of him, like he doesn't need the witness of man, like, and to be like validated, like because he knows what's in man. And I think that that's like, put that in the pot, because oftentimes people want to be validated by other people. That's why they get jealous too. They want to be validated by, they do want to get the applause or whatever it is. And they literally off of, like, when you're raising children, I think the sister kind of touched on a little bit too, but if you're always like praising them and like, hey, like, oh, you do this, you do that, and it's like building this self-centered type of thing going on. It's like, hey man, I'm your parent, but you don't even, like, I'm gonna pour into you what Yah gives, but your validation comes from Yahuwah. Like, he validates you. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Oh,
it's so many,
hallelujah.
hallelujah. It's so many brothers that are dealing with, like, especially in this world, and sisters too, that everything is fighting against them, and they're looking for somebody to just, come and say, because that's part of my testimony. Like, my dad was the opposite. Like, he never really said you was, oh, this is, oh man, like, it was like, no, you're nothing. You know what I'm saying? And it was like Yahuwah had built me up and came and showed me like who I was, to where I'm like, okay, like, wow, like, great, as Daoud says, greater are the sum of your thoughts towards me. So I think that that's something that we got to pour into our children, to say, hey, don't look for this world to validate you. And even though you look at me to be a servant to Yah, and an intermediary to talk to you from Yahushua, but also understand that you need to get validated by him. You need to know who you are in him and be established and be firm in that, because only he can give you that. You know what I'm saying? So that's something that too gotta, I think that'll help like build foundations where people are not looking for the next thing to validate them. And get into your question, man. It's really, man, that's a heavy one. I would say it's been building for some years, maybe. I want to say about 3 years or so. It wasn't 3 years like specifically, oh, I want to do this movie. He had put it on my heart a while back. And really just my question was, who is the Messiah? Like it's like, that's where it started. It's like, who is the Messiah? Like, and I started noticing in Israel, like, people talk about the Messiah as an accessory, or being really hurt from Christianity. People are put off from the Messiah. Like, it was just so many things I was noticing. And so as like I started to like seek Yahuwah and seek Mashiach, like he started to show me like what it was about. And like from the Torah and the prophets and everything that we subscribe to. And then I started learning about Shaul and the taught ones, and what was going on what was going on at the time, 2,000 years ago. What was the social, political, system, and what, going back to Babylon. It's really like a history. He just took me through history. And so I would say what inspired, like you said, Yah inspired me. But specifically, it's so much Yahuwah's timing, because had like over the past couple months, even before the Kyrie thing jumped off, like the documentary had been brewing, because like how he works with me sometimes, it'll just like ideas would just start coming, and I'll just start writing them down, and it's like a puzzle, and until it's time to like, all the way put it together. So I was just putting these puzzle pieces together. And then when like the Kyrie thing happened, and not just the Kyrie thing happened, but what, Hebrews and Negroes and all that was going on,
Mhm.
And like, Yah was like, Yah was like, now is the time. Because one of the steps that I believe that Yahuwah desires, is for the good news to go forth. And like, with the world paying attention, I'm not saying, you know, as much as far as wide as how Yahuwah want to show it, but it's, man, I'm just telling you, like, it's just been an experience that I'm just praying that people can use this as a tool, because I learned so much in this process of, like, because even as a believer, like, who are we? Like, it's like everybody want to go back to, you know, King David as an Israelite. They want to go, but who were the people? Who were the Nazarenes? Like, how were they post, you know, Messiah? Like, what was going? Like, it's so many unanswered questions that people just skip over, that I think is important to know our identity right now, because, you know, so I think that is, so really just, yeah, I inspired it, but really the inspiration was the question of, who is the Messiah? Like, I think that is, I literally think, I would say that's probably the biggest question in the world. You know what I'm saying? And then, well, that's the biggest question. And then the next question after that, or right beside it, is, who do you say he is? Because when you go back in history, everybody had a different version. You know, some of the taught ones, you know, some of the people in Israel, some of the Yahudim, they were expecting Maccabee. They were expecting Judah Maccabee. You know what I'm saying? They was expecting, you know, it's so many versions. So that I think those two questions are the biggest questions, is like, who is the Messiah and who do you say he is? Why? Because when you find out who he is, and who's been dealing with Israel, and like, who, oh, man, it changes everything. It changes everything. And part of the identity theft is they don't want us to know that. I remember I had a dream one time where it was this white dude. He was laughing at black people, but he was also laughing at Israelites. And it's crazy because it's boggling my mind. I'm like, he laughing, you know, you got your heritage, you know, you an Israelite, you know, and he's laughing, and they was laughing in the dream. And I'm like, what? And Yah put on me, he said, because they don't know their power. Like, back in the day, whole nations was fearing Israel because they heard of the report of Yahuwah. They would go somewhere and they said, man, we heard what Yahuwah did to them, man. Like they would be shook. But is that today? They look at us and laugh. They laugh. They be like, okay, you Israelite, and what? That's the question. Some dude hit me on my Instagram. He said, okay, so you an Israelite, and what? You ain't, you know what I'm saying? What? What's up? So I think that this is what's up, right? This is the next step. You know what I'm saying? Is people get into the Messiah and the identity that has been, you know, not that Mashiach can never lose his identity, but in the world that has been like stolen, you know, and I will be interesting. And also interesting to see too, what we're talking about with the jealousy is, you know, and this is gonna hurt a lot of people. And I think we kind of know a little bit, but the real people that's been really doing a lot of damage to you, to the thing, is Yahuwah's own people. His own people. I know people go to Esau, I know people go to the white man, but we gotta go back to the home, and we gotta see that he came to his own, and his own received him not. And when you see the system and things going on, so I think part of the identity theft is to first get that question answered: who is the Messiah? Who is he to us? And then who are we? And finding our identity in him. So I pray that helped answer the question, but it was an inspiration of a lot of things. But really, that question inspired the movie. Is like, who is the Messiah? You know, because my prayer years and years ago was like, I wanted to. Oh, let me, I'm gonna share this testimony real quick. So one of the prayers that Yahuwah gave me years ago when I was at my grandma's house, this was when I was a Christian, as I prayed, I said, I want to know the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Like I said that. I said, I want to walk like the disciples walked. I want to see what they saw. What did they see? What did they feel? Like, what was going on? And literally, I give praise to Yahuwah, because literally this movie is that. Literally, this movie is the answer to that prayer, is that. So I pray that if people want to know, like, okay, what was going on, how, all that whole thing about the Messiah, it's just going to be, I believe it's going to be powerful to really place, and really for Christians too, just anybody, Israelites, whatever, is to really see the gap. Because as time goes on, people have separated themselves from the way, and and it's getting more and more, because literally the same thing that's going on now was going on back then. Israel had fell into self-worship, right? The whether the Ebionites, whether the Sadducees, whether the Pharisees, whether the common people, heritage was a big thing, right? And they were Torah, Torah, Most High. You know what I'm saying? Same people. It's literally right now, it's the same condition. So it's like, I think that cover being blown off, that is because it's, y'all willing to help people to get back to the basics. So that's kind of the inspiration behind it, is answer that question. And now it's the time to share, what he has shown as regards to who the Messiah is.
Oh, that's because I'm talking on mute. I said, Brother Pruitt, it looks like you were saying something.
Oh, no, I'm just agreeing with him. Just thinking about his whole testimony, and so I'm just agreeing with him.
Sister Shonda, you've been pretty quiet. Do you want to share your thoughts?
Well, I mean, that was amazing what Brother Dennis said about how he never got any praise. I wanted to share my boys. My boys, my oldest one, he was light skinned, green and gray eyes. All the girls fell over him because he was so cute. My other son was more darker, handsome, but darker, so he watched his brother get like all the attention, but he also watched what some of that attention brought him, and it wasn't all good. So, I tried to keep them as balanced as I could, because I was in the world, wasn't walking with y'all, knew who he was, but wasn't walking with him. I tried to keep him as balanced as I could. And I said, you know what? I used to tell my light-skinned son, look, your looks don't mean nothing to nobody. I said, it'll mean something one moment, and then it's over with. You don't think that your looks is going to get you anywhere. They're not. And then my other son, who would think he was getting things because of the way he looked, I had to, it was a hard balance, because I had to go back to him and say, listen, I'm going to tell you both, you can do anything you want to do as long as you're doing it correctly and in the right spirit. You can do and be anything you want to be. It doesn't matter. What if you have looks and you go out to be a model and you're on the cover of, GQ magazine one day, but then you get in a car accident the next day and your face is all scarred up? Where's your money now? Because nobody's hiring you with a scarred up. So you need to stay humble and, just stick to doing the right thing and getting what you need for yourself. And they didn't really have anybody to come into their life and tell them they were doing a good job until I met my husband, and he was the one who took over and said, let's go out and swim. You can swim. They felt like they couldn't swim. Well, no, yes, you can. You can swim. And they instilled that. And as they got older, they became closer because that jealousy there wasn't there. Because I didn't really allow my son, my youngest son, to feel that way about his brother. That's your brother. You love him. He looks the way he looks. You look the way you. That's what it is. You know, both are good looking kids. Let's just say that. Good looking kids, but your looks at the end of the day doesn't matter. Because the world will trample your looks, and then what do you have left after that? So I wanted to share that.
Right. It's wow. I mean, I have to agree with that. I have to totally agree with that. All right. So we are going to be Sister Kalea, I see you. I see you.
You know, I was just going to say, with just listen to the sister there, you know, even when we're speaking on jealousy, now we can also think about how it is so relevant of colorism today, even with our own people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. I remember when the light-skinned girls were the popular girls. If you weren't light-skinned, then the boys didn't want to talk to you. So it left all the dark-skinned girls with sort of a complex, you know? If you, it was like the Willie Lynch. If you're not the color of the paper bag or lighter, you didn't fit in. You wasn't a part of the crowd. You know, you're a mud duck. You know what I mean? And that, even back then, that's scarring to children if their parent doesn't come correct it. So they, you know, so that child is growing up with that scar, and they take that into because it hasn't been dealt with, and that's a spirit. And so you really have to deliver yourself from that spirit. And I yield with that.
Exactly.
Agree. If I can add a little bit to that, I heard both of the sisters' stories, and it's difficult when you have a double conundrum, such as a light-skinned child and dark-skinned child. I had I have a very light-skinned daughter, and I have a very dark-skinned daughter, and we had the same issue. My daughter, who is lighter, fair shade, she is 27. My younger daughter is 22. And when they were young, I remember my daughter, I don't know where she picked this up at. It's just somewhere, you know, school or whatever. She came home and she was, I heard her teasing her little sister, calling her Blackie. And so she'd call, you know, she was calling her names, and and my daughter was just sitting there. My younger daughter was just sitting there, you know, just kind of looking, because it's like, this is her bigger sister saying this anyway. And so anyhow, I had to take my daughter, and I said, black is beautiful. I said, don't you ever worry about, you know, the color of your skin. And so at the time, I was not in the truth. We were in the world. And so I'm showing her all these pictures of dark skin models. And my daughter was so, you know, I could feel her spirit getting soothed. But I'm just saying this to speak to the power of jealousy and the power of planting seeds. Because my dark-skinned daughter was feeling soothed, and guess what happened to my light-skinned daughter?
What?
She became jealous of her dark-skinned sister, and she started laying outside in the sun trying to make her skin darker now, because Mama said that dark skin is beautiful.
Wow.
So there you have
it.
That's the conundrum. We just have to be, you know, there's such a delicate balance, and we have to it's a really slippery slope. And the only way I've ever found to defeat it is by forcing them to celebrate each other's differences.
Yes, that's important. And we need to do that not just with our children, but with each other. You know, even us as adults, we have to be mindful, you know, celebrate one another. It's
Very.
it's a form of lifting your brother up, lifting your
another up.
sister up.
Yeah.
When we close our eyes and fall back, we should know that we have each other's back. I know that's like my favorite saying right there. If I close my eyes and I fall back, and brother, you are in Africa, why don't you have my back? Have my back. You are welcome. Sister in Europe, you have my back. Have my back. Sister in Asia, you looking like me. I close my eyes and I fall back. Catch me. Catch me. Wherever we are, even in the remotest of places, sisters and brothers, have our backs. We need to lift one another up. We need to stop not trusting one another. Understand that this veil of separation was torn down already.
Yeah. Yeah.
The veil was torn.
Agreed.
The only ones that can keep that veil up now is us. Don't you see the power that we have? If we can make up a word and that word catches fire all over the world and everybody uses that word, ebonics, we made a whole new language. We have a dictionary, ebonics. Who can do that but the children of the Most High? Our dancing. Look at how we have just inspired the whole world to at least try to have some rhythm. Y'all know what I'm talking about.
Please try to have some.
It's you.
It's even in the cooking, like I used to say, when
Please
we came
put some
over
salt in
here,
that food.
we didn't have we didn't have our we didn't have our cultural foods anymore, and then we were being enslaved and being told we had to eat pig because that's the only thing they would give us to eat. And so it's like in America, our people had to build a whole nother cuisine. We had to make a whole nother cuisine, and they call it soul food today. That's how talented we were. Even in enslavement, we would come out with something good. Now, if that's not a chosen people, I'm a little confused on what is.
Exactly. And just like Sis said, you can go anywhere now, anywhere all over the world and find so-called soul food, Black German soul food, Australian soul food.
Because we're everywhere. That's because we are everywhere. Do you know that we actually corner the world? We're not surrounded. We are the surrounderers. Is that a word?
We're surrounding. Yeah, we are the ones surrounded. If it isn't, it is now.
Right, right. See, there I go, setting the trend. We are the surrounderers. So we are going to come to a close. Does our brothers, Brother Pruitt or Brother Delma, any closing words, anything in closing before we close out?
Most definitely. Yeah, one thing too. Okay, so I didn't share this yet, but so the movie is actually going to be broken up into 3 parts. So it's going to be the first movie is going to be on the first day, and then we're going to like release the other 2 parts. Because it's we don't, that 3-hour movie thing is like, it's tough for people. You know what I'm saying? So so hallelujah to that. And my other closing thought would be to come into watching the movie in prayer, because it's heavy. And I don't say that in like, oh, like, and I'm saying that not because like, oh, yeah, it's heavy because I did it. Not like really just like being a part of this is like, yeah, like, it's like, I'm trying to explain it. It's like it hits you first, you get the impact, right? and then you know it's going to turn around and hit other people, have the impact. So I would say prepare your heart, because it's heavy. You know what I'm saying? To really, and just like what you talked about with the colorism thing, you know, like what Yahuwah been showing, like that's not nothing new. Like we get into the 21st century, you get into slavery, you get into 400 years, and you think people was hating you. You think white people just popped up. You know what I'm saying? Like, and all, like these things, like this is a whole thing that has been happening, even going back to Shem, Ham, and Yafet. You know what I'm saying? And even going back further than that. So this whole thing of jealousy, the rivalry, has been a thing. And so I would say to prepare your mind, prepare your heart, prepare your spirit, be in prayer concerning it, that, you know, you will receive whatever Yahuwah desires you to receive from it, you know?
Hallelujah. All right.
Hallelujah.
All right. Any one of the brothers would like to pray us out?
Sure. I would if Ox cool with that. Okay, cool. Hallelujah. Father Yahuwah, in the name of your begotten Son, Yahusha, your bond, we just thank you for this moment. We thank you for this time. We pray, Yahuwah, that your will be done in heaven as in heaven. We pray your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. And Yahuwah, that you would just lead us and guide us into all truth by the Spirit of truth, that you would convict us concerning sin, that you would concerning judgment and concerning righteousness, that anything in us will be removed, and that we will have a pure heart before you. Yahuwah, you, just like on Mount Sinai, Yahuwah, when they was preparing their mind and their heart, Yahuwah, they answered well, but you said that their hearts wasn't, if only they had a heart to obey you. And we know that Israel has been going through so many things, and you didn't choose us because we were just this and that, or you chose us because for your namesake, for the covenant that you made with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and Yashrael, for your sake, because you have known very well what you have said through the prophets, that we have been a stiff-necked people, and even to this day. And so we pray, Yahuwah, that with this movie, with anything that you are doing, that you are behind, Yahuwah, that in this time, Yahuwah, that the good news of Yahusha will go forth to the four corners, that people will receive eternal life, which is in him, and that they know that he is the Mashiach, the bond of Elohim or Alua, that you have sent. And so it may be clear, we pray that all distractions, all spirits of distractions, all spirits of confusion, spirits of rebellion, spirits of witchcraft, we pray against those spirits in the name of Yahushua.
Yes.
For Yahushua has overcome those spirits on the tree, as he has said it is finished, and all those spirits have no power against the resurrection. And so we thank you, Yahuwah, that you would bind those spirits, and that we just give you esteem and praise. And also you, Yahushua, we give you esteem and praise, honor and wisdom. And we thank you for this opportunity and time, that you may be esteemed in this hour. In Yahushua's name we pray, hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. So don't
Hallelujah.
forget, December the 24th, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Be mindful of the time in your area. Watch party. The Yah's Approved Apparel link tree is in the chat. I will put it also in the description box, because that link tree has all the links that you need. There's a link directly into the watch party. There is a link for the registration form. There's the link to the watch party and the registration form also in the mall. So if you go into the mall, also check out the mall and see what it is you can win. It is good quality products, and we get ready to add another powerhouse, Sister Kalea. You wait till you see what she has. And so we're gonna have to work on that one quickly. So so December the 24th, it is on purpose, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You don't want to miss out. Share the link, share it, share it, share it. Build, remember, build, because not doing it is a form of jealousy, right? So we want to, and like James said, let's build one another up. Let's share this link. Let's be that fly, that fly that you keep swatting and it's just, you can't get it because it's so fast. And let's be that fly for our brother. Let's be that fly for the Most High, for the Messiah. Share the link, share it on your social media, talk about it. Just do the most with it. We will be back again. We are here every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and on Sundays at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Join us live here on YouTube and we will talk about it. Right now, our focus is identity theft, getting the word out, through to the four quarters to the four winds of the earth. That is our goal. That is our goal. Okay, so why don't you help us? Help us help each other by sharing. Like, subscribe, and share. Like this page, subscribe, and share. Normally, we are here for an hour, but we let the Most High lead. And so if the Most High leads us to an hour and a half, it's for a reason. So it must be something in there for someone. Let's see something here. Okay, so all right, so that is it. We're gonna say, may the peace and blessings of the Most High rest upon you and your families. Have a good night.
Hallelujah.
Shalom.
Shalom.
Shalom.